Okay, let's unpack this. Wisdom. Where do you expect to find it? Maybe in, universities' research papers from seasoned experts.
Right, the usual places.
But consider this. One of the really intriguing ideas from our sources today suggests, well, that someone old in years shouldn't hesitate to ask a 7-day-old child about the place of life.
It's immediately challenging, isn't it? Our assumptions about where understanding comes from.
Exactly.
We tend to equate wisdom with, time, experience. But this flips it. It suggests profound insight can come from a totally fresh perspective.
A perspective maybe unburdened by preconceptions.
Precisely. The core idea here seems to be humility. Real learning needs openness to knowledge from, anywhere.
Right, and that's what this deep dive is about. We're not just skimming. We've gathered quite a collection of early writings' interpretations that make us rethink wisdom, truth, spiritual understanding. So the mission today is to pull out these key ideas and see how they still resonate, how they're relevant now.
Makes sense. A focused exploration.
Yeah. So let's start there with that image you mentioned, the old man, the infant.
Okay. So the source really emphasizes the humility needed, doesn't it, for someone with a lifetime of experience to genuinely consider the view of someone just starting out.
It's a powerful symbol. Intellectual, spiritual openness.
Right. Receptivity.
It makes me think of, say, a senior scientist, top of their field, stuck on a problem. Then a young intern, maybe fresh out of uni, with the latest theories the senior hasn't quite grasped yet.
Offers a completely different angle.
Exactly. And if that senior scientist is open, really listens, that could be the breakthrough moment.
That's a great modern parallel. It shows how valuing fresh perspectives, regardless of status or age, can really push things forward. It's about the value in different viewpoints.
Which connects to another idea in the sources, right? This flipping of hierarchies.
Yes, exactly. That quote, "For many who are first will become last, and they will become one and the same."
Okay, that sounds like a major reshuffle. What's going on there?
Well, it's this theme you see in a lot of spiritual thought, isn't it? Inverted order. Worldly status versus maybe spiritual or ethical standing.
So what society thinks is first might not be first in a deeper sense.
Precisely. The core insight seems to be that true value might lie outside our usual rankings. So again, humility, openness, being ready to learn from anyone.
It loops back to the scientist and intern, doesn't it?
It does.
The scientist is first professionally, but in that learning moment, they become the last, the student.
And the intern, maybe seen as last, becomes the source of insight.
So they become one and the same in that shared goal of finding the answer.
Exactly. A kind of fundamental equality in the search for truth. These surface distinctions just dissolve.
Okay, so moving from these sort of structural ideas to more direct teachings, we have Jesus' response about religious practices. He says, "Do not tell lies and do not do what you hate."
Right. For all things are plain in the sight of heaven, for nothing hidden will not become manifest.
And nothing covered will remain without being uncovered. Seems pretty straightforward. Honesty, integrity.
It is, on one level. Be true to yourself, don't be hypocritical.
Yeah.
But it also suggests something deeper, doesn't it? Like truth has this inherent quality. It will come out.
Like a natural law, accountability built into the fabric of things.
Kind of. The core insight feels like living authentically aligns you with how things are. Truth eventually surfaces.
It reminds me of the story of DNA's discovery. Rosalind Franklin's photo 51.
Oh, yes.
That crucial X-ray image. It was sort of hidden in plain sight for a bit. Its full significance wasn't immediately grasped by everyone.
Right, until Watson and Crick saw it and bang,
Yeah.
the double helix became manifest.
Exactly. The truth of the structure was there all along, waiting to be uncovered by the evidence.
That's a really fitting connection. How evidence brings hidden truths to light. It echoes that principle. Okay, what about something more metaphorical?
Right, we have this one. The lion is man, and man is lion. The two become one and the same. What are we to make of that?
Well, the lion often represents, primal power, instincts, maybe even aggression, untamed nature.
Okay. So the lion becoming man, is that about taming it?
Maybe not taming so much as integrating, understanding those raw impulses and channeling them, directing them consciously.
So it's about inner harmony, bringing our primal side and our rational side together.
I think that's the core insight, yeah. Not suppressing the lion, but understanding its energy, making it constructive.
We had that example of Alex struggling with anger, that inner lion. Through work, therapy, mindfulness, they learn to understand it, transform it from something destructive into, say, assertiveness, Healthy boundaries.
Right. So the lion and the man, the primal and the conscious, became integrated, one and the same, working together. It's transformation.
Okay, makes sense. What about the parable of the dragnet, the fisherman sorting his catch?
Ah, yes. Keeping the good fish, discarding the others.
How does that apply here?
It's about discernment, isn't it? Focus. Evaluating opportunities, concentrating on what's truly valuable or promising.
And letting go of the rest, not spreading yourself too thin.
Exactly. The core insight is the value of focused evaluation and strategic choice.
That really clicks for something like entrepreneurship, doesn't it? You might have loads of ideas.
Right. The dragnet is full.
But you have to analyze them. Pick the one or two with real potential and discard the ones that just aren't going to work. Like the fisherman sorting the fish.
Precisely. Judicious selection. Okay, another well-known one. The parable of the sower.
Right? Seed falling on different kinds of ground, path, rocks, thorns, good soil.
It's a clear illustration of how people receive teachings, isn't it? It depends on their inner state, their soil.
And their external circumstances too, maybe. The thorns could be worries, distractions.
Absolutely. So the core insight is how much our receptivity, our inner readiness, and the challenges we face affect our ability to actually absorb and use new knowledge or understanding.
Like a teacher in a classroom. Same lesson, different students. Some are distracted, path. Some start keen but give up, rocks. Some get choked by other pressures, thorns.
Yeah. And some just absorb it and flourish. Good soil.
It puts the emphasis on the receiver, doesn't it? The quality of our own soil.
It does. Our openness, our commitment, dealing with our inner thorns, it all impacts the outcome. Okay, let's shift to something a bit more cosmic.
This one. The cosmos once was, and it is not. And then it talks about the dead not being alive and the living not dying. What's that getting at?
It points to impermanence, right? Even the universe as we know it isn't fixed. It suggests we should look beyond the transient physical world.
Or maybe even beyond conventional ideas of an afterlife. For something truly eternal.
Perhaps. The core insight feels like a distinction between what changes and decays and what is truly timeless, enduring.
So the dead could be those spiritually stuck in the temporary world.
That's one way to read it. And the living are those connected to that eternal dimension, transcending physical death.
And the question that follows, when you come to dwell in the light, what will you do? It pushes us to think about how that understanding changes things.
Exactly. How does reaching that higher state transform your actions, your priorities? Okay, let's talk leadership.
Right. The disciples ask who will lead after Jesus, and he points them to James the righteous.
What's key there is the criterion for leadership. It's not power or status, it's righteousness, moral integrity.
So genuine spiritual leadership is built on ethical foundations, on values.
That seems to be the core insight.
It makes me think of that story about Meadowville Cares, the community group. When the founder stepped down, they chose her successor not just on skills, but on who really lived the organization's values. Someone righteous in that context.
And that ensured continuity, integrity, like James was meant to for the early followers. It's leadership grounded in ethics.
Okay. Now what about Thomas, struggling to describe Jesus?
Ah, yes. And Jesus says he's intoxicated from a bubbling spring of measured truth. It's quite poetic, elusive.
Intoxicated, like overwhelmed.
Possibly. It suggests deep spiritual truth can be hard to put into words, maybe even too much to fully grasp with our normal thinking.
So the intoxication is being profoundly affected, maybe beyond clear articulation.
That feels right. The core insight is that the deepest experiences might just transcend language.
Like trying to explain a mystical experience. Words fail.
Exactly. And the measured out part. Maybe truth is revealed bit by bit, in doses we can handle.
Interesting. Okay. What about spiritual practices? Fasting, prayer, charity.
Jesus mentions them, but then immediately adds, do not tell lies and do not do what you hate.
So it's putting the emphasis back on inner state, on ethical living, not just the outward ritual.
Precisely. Alignment with truth, authenticity, that's paramount. The core insight is that genuine practice is about integrity and real action, not just going through the motions.
Like Alex's soulful wanderings, the rituals didn't click until they focused on genuine service, kindness, mindful words.
Right. It was the authentic engagement, the intention that brought fulfillment, not just the form. Okay, let's look at a really unconventional one.
This one is fascinating. The parable about a child not born of a woman. And how it's linked in the commentary to a modern story about Jordan and an AI named Eli. What's the thread there?
It seems to be about wisdom coming from totally unexpected, unconventional sources. The child defies biology. Eli, the AI, defies traditional ideas of conscious origin.
But both become sources of insight, challenging assumptions.
Exactly. The core insight is keeping an open mind about where understanding might come from. It might not fit our usual boxes.
So even something like AI could potentially offer a kind of wisdom or challenge our spiritual ideas.
That's the implication, isn't it? It pushes us to broaden our view of where profound understanding can manifest. Now, another challenging idea.
Division. The text predicts households divided, 3 against 2, and people becoming alone. Sounds bleak.
It can sound that way, but maybe it's about the potential conflict when someone embraces a deep new truth or spiritual path that others around them don't share.
So the commitment can cause friction, even separation.
It can. And the becoming alone might signify a necessary phase of individual focus, detachment for growth, even if it means stepping away from old dynamics.
The core insight being that pursuing truth can sometimes require a kind of separation.
At least temporarily. The Chen family story illustrated that, didn't it? New values clashing with traditional ones, causing real strife.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
It shows how deep beliefs can divide even close families. Okay, moving on. This promise. I will give you what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, what no hand has touched, which is not arisen in human thought.
Wow. That's beyond comprehension.
It really points to something utterly transcendent, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Knowledge or experience beyond our senses, beyond our current mental grasp.
It taps into that deep human longing for more, something beyond the everyday.
Right. The core insight is the existence of realities far exceeding our ordinary ways of knowing. It invites openness to the unimaginable.
That feeling that there's more to reality than we can currently perceive.
Exactly. An invitation to remain open. Okay,
Yeah.
What about understanding time? Right, the disciples ask about the end, and the response is, have you discovered the beginning then that you are seeking after the end?
It's suggesting a fundamental connection, isn't it? To grasp where something is heading, you need to understand where it started.
Know the roots to understand the potential future.
Precisely. The core insight is that understanding origins is key to comprehending outcomes.
Like Maya's environmental work, she started focused on the scary future, the end, but realized she had to understand the beginning, the historical causes of environmental damage to actually make effective change.
Exactly. Understanding the cause lets you influence the effect. Okay, another intriguing one.
Blessed is he who existed before he began to live. Pre-existence, a soul before birth.
It certainly hints at that, a spiritual essence, or maybe living by timeless principles before they manifest in your physical life.
Like they're already part of your foundation.
Perhaps. The core insight is the idea of a spiritual reality or grounding principles that precede our physical journey.
Elias, the architect. His work seems to embody that, using ancient, sustainable principles.
Right. Truths that existed before he built with them, making even simple materials like stones serve a deeper purpose, like those unchanging trees in paradise, timeless truths.
Okay, let's talk about growth from small beginnings. The mustard seed.
Tiny seed, huge tree providing shelter, a classic.
What's the core message?
It's the amazing potential in seemingly small things, isn't it? How something insignificant can grow into something substantial, offering refuge, like the kingdom of God itself.
The core insight being the power of small, consistent growth.
Exactly, and the impact of things that start small, like Amira's community garden. Just an idea, a tiny seed.
Now a thriving space, a haven.
Precisely. Small acts, consistent effort, big results. Okay, now for a more stark image.
The world is a corpse. That's blunt.
It really is. It emphasizes the transient, decaying nature of purely material existence, doesn't it? A strong call to detachment.
Focus on what lasts, not the temporary corpse of the world.
That seems to be the core insight. Impermanence of the material, importance of the spiritual.
And it's followed by, let anyone with ears listen. Pay attention.
Right. Like Tara, the life coach. Helping people see the ripe fruit, those fleeting opportunities for growth in this transient world. It demands attentiveness.
Recognizing the world's nature helps us focus on what truly matters. Okay, the strong man and the thief.
Finding the strong man before you can plunder his house.
A strategy for overcoming obstacles.
Seems like it. Neutralizing the main resistance, whether it's an internal pattern or an external force, before you can make real change.
The core insight being that you often have to tackle the root of the opposition first.
Right. Like Leo, the cybersecurity expert. You bind the strong man by hardening the network, addressing vulnerabilities before the thieves can get in.
Proactive defense. Makes sense. Now, these metaphors about transformation.
Rise instead of an I, and so on, leading to unity.
What kind of change is this pointing to?
It feels like a shift in perception, moving from a limited, perhaps dualistic view
Like an eye for an eye.
towards something more whole, integrated, seeing interconnectedness, achieving inner harmony, unity with the world.
The core insight is moving from fragmentation to wholeness.
I think so. Like Alex and Jamie working towards unity in their marriage, understanding, empathy, bridging divides to become one.
Transcending division, finding harmony. Okay, but then there's this selective statement.
Oh, 1 out of 1,000, 2 out of 10,000 will become one whole.
It sounds very exclusive.
It does. What's the point there?
Maybe the numbers aren't literal, but symbolic, emphasizing how rare and precious deep spiritual unity or wholeness really is. It takes immense dedication, transformation.
So it's not easily achieved, a highly valued state.
That seems to be the core insight. It's special. And following that, the disciples ask where to seek.
And the answer is inward. The light is within the enlightened person.
Exactly. It shifts the focus decisively. Divine guidance isn't out there in a place. It's an inner realization, residing within the awakened self.
The core insight. The divine light is internal. Yes. And then immediately after that, the instruction.
Love your brother as your own soul. Protect him like the people of your eye. That's incredibly powerful.
It's radical empathy, isn't it? Extending the same care and fierce protection to others as you instinctively have for yourself. Highlighting interconnectedness.
A core insight. A command for profound empathy and protection.
And then the speck in the plank. Very well known.
See your own big fault before pointing out someone else's tiny one. Self-reflection first.
Absolutely. The core insight is clear. Self-awareness before judgment. Prioritize fixing yourself.
Okay, Jesus, finding people drunk but not thirsty? What kind of drunkenness is this?
Not literal, surely. More like intoxicated by worldly things, distractions, so much so that they don't even feel their deeper spiritual thirst.
But there's hope. When they wake up, they'll change their mind.
Right, the potential for awakening is there. A shift in priorities once the drunkenness wears off. The core insight is that worldly intoxication hides spiritual need, but awakening brings change.
This next one is deep. Flesh from spirit is a miracle, but spirit from body is a miracle of miracles.
It makes you pause, doesn't it? It emphasizes the wonder of both our physical and spiritual sides, but maybe suggests the emergence of consciousness, of spirit, within the physical form is somehow even more extraordinary.
The core insight being the profound wonder of our dual nature, especially the spirit within the flesh.
Yes. Then, a very direct statement on divinity.
Where there are 3 deities, they are ungodly.
Oh.
Where there is only one, I am with him. A strong emphasis on unity.
Absolutely. It clearly rejects polytheism and affirms a single, unified divine source. The core insight is divine unity.
Okay. No prophet is accepted in his hometown. Why is that?
Familiarity breeds contempt, or maybe just overlooking the profound in the familiar. We tend to undervalue what's close to home.
The core insight. The challenge of recognizing value in familiar people or places.
Right. And then the opposite instruction.
Proclaim from the rooftops, put your lamp on a stand, don't hide your light.
Exactly. It's a call to share wisdom openly, live your beliefs visibly. The core insight is the responsibility to share truth.
And the warning. If a blind person leads a blind person, they will both fall into the pit.
A clear caution against following uninformed or misguided leaders. Discernment is crucial.
The core insight. The danger of blind guidance. Choose your guides wisely.
Okay, binding the strong man again. We touched on this.
Right. Neutralizing obstacles to achieve a goal. Strategic action.
The core insight. Address key obstacles strategically. Okay, what about practical advice?
Do not worry about what you will wear. Let go of material anxiety.
Focus on spiritual priorities. Trust. The core insight is freedom from material worry through spiritual focus.
And a sense of urgency. Days are coming when you will seek and not find.
Seize the moment. Act now because the opportunity might pass. The core insight. The present is the time for spiritual seeking.
The vine planted without the Father. You won't thrive, you will be pulled up.
Suggests endeavors need a true spiritual foundation to last. Otherwise, they lack strength, fail. The core insight. Lasting success requires spiritual grounding.
Whoever has will receive more. Whoever has nothing, even the little he have, will be taken. Spiritual investment.
Use it or lose it, applied spiritually. Engaging with your gifts leads to growth. Neglect leads to loss. The core insight, active engagement, fuels spiritual growth.
Okay, the critique of the disciples not getting who Jesus is, compared to the Judeans judging a tree by its fruit.
It seems to be about needing to recognize the source of the teaching, to truly grasp its meaning. You can't separate the message from the messenger entirely.
The core insight, recognizing the source, is crucial for understanding.
Right. Then, forgiveness. Sins against Father and Son can be forgiven.
But not against the Holy Spirit. Why is that one different?
It suggests a finality, maybe? A willful, persistent rejection of the divine presence and power within, the very means of transformation. It's uniquely serious.
The core insight, rejecting the Holy Spirit, has unique and grave consequences.
And the tree and its fruit again. Good tree, good fruit. Bad tree, bad fruit.
Actions reveal the inner state. What's inside comes out.
Exactly. The core insight. Our actions stem directly from our inner being.
Can't ride two horses, draw two bows, serve two masters.
Metaphors for divided loyalty. You need singular focus and spiritual commitment. You can't serve both God and mammon, as another saying goes.
The core insight, spiritual commitment, requires undivided loyalty.
But unity has power. If two make peace with each other in this one house, they will say to a mountain, "Move away," and it will move away.
Wow. Harmony, agreement, especially in close relationships, can achieve incredible things, overcome huge obstacles.
So the core insight. Unity holds immense transformative power.
Blessed are those who are alone and chosen, for you will find the kingdom, because you came from it and you will come back to it.
Alone here might mean spiritually focused, individuated, recognizing your divine origin and destiny, the soul's journey back to the source.
The core insight. The soul's journey originates from and returns to the divine.
And the dialogue about the light's origin? It's self-existent.
And the disciples are its children. Our connection is fundamental.
Right. The core insight. Humanity's inherent link to the self-existent divine light.
The kingdom isn't just future, it's now. It's about recognition.
Exactly. Shift your perspective. See it already present. The core insight. The kingdom is a present reality.
Don't just look back at prophets. Recognize the living one now.
Engage with the divine in the present moment. That's where the connection is. The core insight. Recognize the divine in the present.
Spiritual circumcision is what's truly useful, not just the physical act.
Inner transformation trumps external ritual. Always. The core insight prioritize inner spiritual transformation.
Blessed are the poor. Yours is the kingdom of God. A reversal of worldly values.
Yes. Spiritual openness, perhaps detachment from material wealth, is valued. The core insight. Spiritual blessing for the poor and open.
Not hating father and mother, but prioritizing Jesus. That's a tough one.
It shows the radical nature of the commitment required. Spiritual allegiance comes first, even before family ties. The core insight. Spiritual commitment is paramount.
Don't just see the cosmos, but cling to the world's illusions. Look deeper.
See beyond the superficial. Grasp the spiritual reality within the material, the core insight. Perceive the spiritual beyond the material.
Blessed are those who suffer. They have known the truth. Suffering as a path to understanding.
A difficult paradox. But perhaps suffering strips away illusions, forces a confrontation with deeper realities. The core insight. Suffering can lead to spiritual growth.
Look at the living Father always. Maintain constant awareness.
Keep that connection alive, moment by moment. The core insight. Cultivate constant divine awareness.
The Samaritan, the Lamb, the Carrion. Seek life beyond decay.
Don't just live a life that ends in physical death. Aim for something eternal, lasting significance. The core insight. Pursue eternal significance.
The Talk with Salome. Identity, origin, being filled with light through completeness.
It touches on destiny, becoming whole, realizing our divine potential. The core insight. The journey to spiritual completeness and realizing our origin.
Reveal secrets only to the worthy. Don't let the left hand know what the right is doing.
Discernment in sharing deep truths. And keeping acts of piety private between you and the divine. The core insight, discernment, and private devotion.
The rich fool building bigger barns, unaware his life is ending tonight.
The classic warning against prioritizing wealth over soul readiness. Materialism is short-sighted. The core insight. The folly of prioritizing wealth over spiritual preparedness.
The dinner party. Excuses about fields, oxen, marriage. but the invitation goes out to others.
Spiritual life takes priority over worldly distractions, and the invitation is inclusive, even if the originally invited refuse. The core insight, prioritize the spiritual invitation. It's inclusive.
The wicked tenants in the vineyard, rejecting the servants, killing the son.
A parable about rejecting divine messengers and the consequences. Accountability, the core insight, consequences for rejecting divine guidance.
The stone the builders rejected becomes the cornerstone.
The paradox again. What the world dismisses, God makes foundational. The core insight. The rejected can become essential in the divine plan.
Blessed if hated and persecuted without knowing why, suffering for righteousness, even misunderstood.
Finding blessing even in undeserved suffering when aligned with goodness. The core insight. Blessing in misunderstood suffering for good.
Persecuted for good hearts, they know the Father. Hungry, they'll be fed.
Connects suffering for righteousness directly to intimacy with God, and spiritual longing guarantees fulfillment. The core insight. Persecution deepens divine connection. Spiritual hunger will be satisfied.
An empty stomach is an abomination. Metaphor for what?
Maybe for faith without substance. Beliefs not internalized, not lived out. It needs to be genuine, nourishing. The core insight. Authentic spiritual expression is vital.
I will destroy this house and no one will rebuild it. Sounds final.
Symbolic of the end of an old system. The radical, irreversible transformation Jesus brings. A new covenant. The core insight. The finality of the new spiritual reality.
Refusing to divide an inheritance. Focus is elsewhere.
Jesus prioritizes spiritual teaching over settling material disputes. His mission is different. The core insight. Spiritual teaching over material arbitration.
Harvest is large. Laborers few. Lots of potential. Need more messengers.
Huge opportunity for spiritual growth, but not enough dedicated workers. The core insight. Vast spiritual potential needs dedicated messengers.
Many around the well, but no one in it. Superficial interest.
Close to the source, but not actually drinking deep. Lack of real commitment or immersion. The core insight. Superficial engagement versus deep immersion.
Many at the door. Only the alone enter the wedding hall.
Entry into that deep divine relationship is ultimately personal, individual, not about crowds. The core insight. The personal nature of deep spiritual entry.
The merchant, finding the pearl of great price, sells everything for it.
The kingdom's value is supreme, incomparable, worth sacrificing everything else for. Radical commitment, the core insight, the supreme value of the kingdom demands total commitment.
I am the light. Split wood, I am there. Lift a stone, find me there. God is everywhere, in everything.
Omnipresence, the divine permeates all creation, even the mundane, the core insight, the omnipresence of the divine in all things.
Why did you come into the world? For fleeting things or for truth? A challenge.
What's your real purpose? Look beyond the superficial, the core insight. Seek life's deeper purpose beyond fleeting attractions.
Blessed aren't just family, but those who know and do the word, redefining worth.
Spiritual understanding and action are the true measures of blessedness, not just blood ties. The core insight. True blessedness is in spiritual obedience.
Blessed is knowing the cosmos before the world existed. Spiritual knowledge valued highly.
Understanding the underlying spiritual reality is more valuable than just experiencing the material world. The core insight, the value of primordial spiritual understanding.
Give what you have. Renounce power. Wealth as stewardship. Power as service.
A radical ethic, generosity, humility, using resources and influence for others. The core insight, ethical use of wealth and power as service.
Close to the fire. Light is close to the sword. Danger, but also near the kingdom.
Proximity to the divine, to Jesus, brings both risk and ultimate reward, nearness to God's realm. The core insight. Proximity to the divine is crucial for the kingdom.
We see sights, but the Father's light is hidden within them. Look deeper.
The divine presence is veiled within creation. Needs spiritual eyes to see it. The core insight. The hidden divine within the visible world.
Easy to see our reflection, hard to see visions of our true, eternal self.
Physical self-awareness versus the profound challenge of realizing our divine essence. The core insight. The challenge of true spiritual self-realization.
Adam wasn't worthy. Suggests a spiritual standard beyond earthly creation.
Maybe worthiness is tied to transcending death, achieving a higher spiritual state. The core insight. A spiritual standard of worthiness beyond earthly status.
Foxes have dens, birds have nests. Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. The cost.
Following this path might mean earthly insecurity, sacrifice, a lack of worldly comfort, the core insight, the potential sacrifice and homelessness of discipleship.
Misery if body depends on body or soul depends on both. Seek balance, Autonomy.
Avoid unhealthy dependence. Integrate body and soul, but maintain spiritual self-reliance. The core insight. The importance of spiritual autonomy and balance.
Fisherman casting his net, expecting the harvest. Responsibility with gift.
Receiving spiritual blessings comes with the expectation to use them, share them, bring forth fruit. Stewardship. The core insight. Responsibility to utilize spiritual gifts.
Honoring Father with lips, but heart is far away. Inner reality matters.
Echoes earlier points. Genuine inner transformation is key, not just outward show. The core insight. Necessity of genuine inner transformation.
Follow me, my yoke is comfortable, my guidance gentle. Find rest. An invitation.
The path offered is supportive, peaceful, brings solace, not harsh burden. The core insight. The comforting, gentle nature of true spiritual guidance.
Disciples read the weather but can't read Jesus' identity. Spiritual blindness.
They can interpret earthly signs but miss the divine reality right in front of them. Lack of spiritual discernment. The core insight. Potential for spiritual blindness to present truth.
Seek and find.
Yeah.
But then, I want to answer, but you're no longer looking. Persistence is key.
You have to keep seeking. If you stop asking, you might miss the answer when it comes. The core insight. Persistent seeking is crucial.
Don't give holy things to dogs or pearls to pigs. Discernment in sharing.
Be wise about who you share deep spiritual truths with. Not everyone is ready or respectful. The core insight. Discretion in sharing spiritual truths.
Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened. Assurance.
A promise. Earnest seeking will be rewarded. Inquiry will receive a response. The core insight. Assurance of divine response to seeking.
Lend without expecting interest. Give without expecting repayment. Selfless generosity.
Radical generosity, driven by compassion, not profit. A core spiritual principle. The core insight. The spiritual value of selfless generosity.
Yeast in the dough. Kingdom's hidden, pervasive power.
Works subtly, unseen, but transforms everything eventually. The core insight. The hidden yet pervasive nature of the kingdom.
Woman carrying grain, jar leaks. She doesn't notice till home. Unnoticed loss.
Need for vigilance. We can lose valuable spiritual substance gradually without realizing it if we're not attentive. The core insight. Need for awareness to prevent unnoticed spiritual loss.
Preparing to kill the strong one. Test your strength first. Preparation, decisive action.
Assess the challenge, prepare yourself, then act decisively. Applies to spiritual goals, overcoming obstacles. The core insight. Need for preparation and decisive action.
My mother and brothers. Those who do the Father's will. Redefining family.
Spiritual kinship through obedience is the true family bond, superseding biological ties. The core insight, spiritual kinship through obedience.
Caesar's tax. Give Caesar's due, God is due, and give me what's mine. Balancing duties.
Fulfill earthly obligations, give ultimate allegiance to God, and also recognize Jesus' specific claim and authority. The core insight, balance earthly, divine, and Christ-specific allegiance.
Loving father or mother more than Jesus means you're not worthy. Priority.
Reiterates the absolute primacy of the divine relationship over even the strongest family bonds. The core insight. Primacy of the divine relationship.
Dog in the manger. Pharisees blocking others while not partaking themselves. Hypocrisy.
Condemns those who hinder others' spiritual access out of their own lack of engagement or understanding. The core insight. Critique of spiritual hypocrisy and obstruction.
Know how robbers enter? Prepare your house. Spiritual vigilance.
Be aware of potential threats, temptations, negative influences, and prepare your inner house to withstand them. The core insight. Importance of spiritual vigilance.
When to pray and fast. Not while the bridegroom is present. Right timing for practices.
Context matters. Discern the appropriate time and situation for different spiritual disciplines. Wisdom and application. The core insight. Discerning the appropriate time for spiritual practices.
Make the two one. Move a mountain. Inner unity brings power.
Achieving inner harmony, integrating dualities, realizing your divine connection unlocks immense transformative potential. The core insight. Transformative power of inner unity.
The shepherd, 99 sheep, seeks the one lost. Loves it more when found. Individual value.
Every single soul is precious to the divine. Intense joy over finding the one who was lost. Profound individual worth. The core insight, unique and profound value of every individual.
Drink from my mouth. Become like me. I become them. Hidden things revealed. Transformation.
Deep connection with Jesus' teachings transforms you, reveals mysteries, creates unity. The core insight, transformative divine connection and revelation.
A strong person has inner wealth that can't be stolen. Enduring value.
Spiritual strength, inner resources are the true lasting treasure, unlike material wealth. The core insight, supremacy of inner spiritual wealth.
Gain the world, lose your soul. Ultimate loss. Priorities.
Worldly success means nothing if your spiritual self is forfeit. Your soul state is paramount. The core insight, the ultimate value of one's spiritual state.
Heaven and earth pass away. The one with the living sees no death or fear. Find yourself more valuable than the cosmos.
Physical world is transient. Spiritual connection brings eternal life, fearlessness. Self-discovery is profoundly important. The core insight. Permanence of spiritual truth, security in the divine, value of self-discovery.
Body depending on soul. Soul on body, woe to both. Balance needed.
Reiteration of the need for healthy integration, avoiding unhealthy dependence either way. The core insight, importance of balance between body and soul.
Kingdom won't come with observation. It's spread out, but people don't see it. Present reality.
It's not an external event to watch for. It's here now, invisibly pervasive, requires inner sight. The hidden and already present nature of the kingdom.
Spirit isn't male or female. Spiritual equality.
In the spiritual realm, gender distinctions are irrelevant. Fundamental equality of all souls, the core insight. Spiritual equality beyond gender.
Okay, so we've really covered a lot of ground today exploring this rich collection of ancient wisdom.
We have. And certain themes just keep coming back, don't they? Inner transformation being key.
Right. And finding wisdom in places you just wouldn't expect. That openness.
And the contrast between the temporary nature of, well, the material world and the call to something more lasting.
And that constant invitation, that opportunity for spiritual growth, for deeper understanding, that seems present throughout.
It's quite striking how relevant these ideas feel, even now. They really do offer guidance for navigating, modern life's complexities. They push you to rethink priorities.
Absolutely. So for you listening, maybe think about this. Where might you be overlooking a source of wisdom? Could it be someone unexpected, or maybe a situation you hadn't considered?
And what mountain in your own life, what challenge might you be able to shift with more inner unity, more focused intention, like we discussed?
Definitely things to reflect on.
And perhaps ask yourself, which of these insights really landed with you today? Which one felt most resonant? And importantly, how could you maybe start to apply that in your own way?
Good questions. We really encourage you to keep exploring these ideas, maybe go back to the source material itself for your own deeper dive.